Hello, welcome to this week's edition of the Coaches Show. I'm your host, Jeremy Qualls, and with me today is the first time ever on the show, Coach Mike McLaury, head coach of the Independence Eagles baseball team, sitting right now in AAA as the #1 team in the land. How about that, Coach?
Well, it's nice, but it ain't going to help us beat Brentwood tonight. So we just take it for what it's worth.
Oh, that's funny that you mentioned that. I was going to ask you, one of my first questions is, what does it mean? What does the #1 ranking in AAA mean to you, and what does it mean to your kids? Obviously, the kids look at that stuff, and they really like that ranking.
You know, we haven't really talked about it much. We've done a good job of just playing each game. I'm really proud of my team for that, but we have not – I know they know about it, and I know about it because people tell us about it. But like I said, it's not going to help us beat Brentwood tonight. So that's what we're focused on.
Well, you have some really, really big, important games coming up. We're going to get to that in just a moment. 21-2 on the season right now. 11-2 in district play. And if people don't know, our district over here, district play 11 AAA is it's hard any night to get a single win, much less be 11-2.
In baseball, I'd put it up against any district in the state. We have some great young players. Anybody, any night can beat you. We were at Dixon County a few nights ago and a couple weeks ago, and they're running arm after arm out of there. And it's a tough. Any win's a good win, and to be 11-2, where we're at right now, we're very fortunate.
I usually ask all around the coaches, it's like, hey, what is it going to take? How many losses will be too many losses? And they think, this is the first year that everybody pretty much has said there'll be anywhere between 2 and potentially 4 losses that could still win this thing.
This was the first year we went to the 2-game series, but playing 3 games a week, 3 district games, and we kind of rotated around. So I don't know if anybody knew exactly what to expect. I thought somewhere between that 2 and 4 would get you in the hunt, and that's exactly what it's turned out to be. But 1 through 9, I guess now it is, with Spring Hill and Page. It's a tough battle every time you step foot on the diamond.
Well, before we get to the 11 AAA side, let's tell everybody about yourself. Let's talk about you for a moment, Coach. How many years have you been in Independence?
This is my 5th year, and Independence has been great to me. Campus is great, the faculty's great, students. We strive to be good in everything, and our band does a great job. The football team, obviously, with all the success they've had. The basketball team last year. When we first couple of years, we struggled a little bit, but I really liked my guys. I mean, they played hard for me. And really, our success the last couple of years, you can contribute some of that to them first few teams because they played hard.
Right.
And that's kind of what we got known for is playing hard. During that tournament, we were a tough draw.
Baseball is kind of a different animal. For those that haven't watched a lot of baseball or even gone to high school baseball games, baseball is a little different animal than football and basketball. Chad Kirby always said this. He always says it's not every night that the best team wins. It's all who's on that particular night. Now, that can be said, it's kind of cliche, it's coach speak. That can be given any sport. But baseball is a different animal, man. Everything's got to line up for you perfectly. There's a little bit of strategy of when you pitch, who you pitch, and all that in those series that you're speaking of.
It sure does. I mean, you get a guy that's hot on the mound and hitting the corner. Last year in the district tournament, Dixon County, he threw a guy that was on fire. And we struggled, lost 1-0 to start that tournament. So one guy can affect the whole game, and then it comes to 6 inches fair, 6 inches foul. I think we had a ball hit a base, go over our third baseman's head this year in one of the losses. So some of it's luck, but I really believe you create your own by putting yourself in the best situation.
All right, Coach, you've been there 5 years. Where were you prior to taking the Independence job?
I was at MTSU as a pitching coach for Coach Peterson for, I believe, 7-8 years before that. I might be a little off there. And then,
so I've got to ask a question. I'm sorry, I'm completely getting on the weeds on this. Will Dalton. I know that Will Dalton had an opportunity. He showed some interest in MTSU. I think they passed on him. He ends up going the JUCO route. He's now at Florida. I'm not dogging MTSU. It just reminded me. What about all these coaches that passed on Will Dalton?
They're kicking themselves because that and being in a 3-game series at the time, you could really tell who the players are.
Right.
You know, not just one game the guy's hot. Will can play. And there's a lot of coaches kicking themselves. And going back to the recruiting days, I got guys that I came back saying, no, I don't think so, and they make it to the big leagues.
It's just that's the way it is,
Yep,
right?
that's the way it is. And it goes the other way, too, where you get a guy, and why are they taking him? Next thing you know, he's an All-American. Kenny Roberts from MTSU comes to mind, and he was an 82, 83-mile-an-hour left-hander from Siegel, but what they didn't know was his work ethic. And he winds up being a draft pick and making it to the big leagues for a couple of years. So it works both ways, and I wish there was a plan that's a foolproof plan that works, but there just isn't. And I'm good for Will, though, Dalton, because he's a great kid, and not a lot of people knew about how well he competes.
For those that don't know, Will Dalton played at your rival at Summit.
Yep.
Great high-character kid. I think you'd say the same about him, regardless of the rivalry, the fun rivalry between you and Summit. But, you said something that piqued my interest. You said they don't know his work ethic. You can't see that potentially on the field if I just happen to catch a two-game series. This kid could potentially goes into Columbia State with a little bit, probably a chip on the shoulder, thinking everybody passed on me. And now I'm going to work and show. Has a great career at Columbia State, gets picked up by Florida, and is now leading the SEC in home run and RBIs and potentially going for the Triple Crown if he can get his percentage up.
Well, junior college baseball is a little bit different than basketball and football. There's good baseball in junior college. I was a head coach at a junior college, assistant coach, played in junior college. There's a lot of different reasons why you go to a junior college, not just grades or used when they had to draft and follow, you'd get a lot of players that were drafted, and that scout would just want to see him another year, follow him up, and then they can sign him right before the draft. Mm-hmm. So at that time, junior college was full of guys, your top teams in the country, would have 6, 7 draft and follows on it. And Will kind of reminded me of that. He not that he was a draft and follow, but he was drafted late. So, going to a junior college, I don't necessarily see that as a knock because he was able to get in there and play and get the at-bats. You get to that 4-year school, sometimes you have to sit. You got some seniors ahead of you, and getting them at-bats and getting that confidence and finding a swing. And so it's not a knock that he went to junior college.
Sure.
He ended up at the place he needs to be at.
It all worked out.
And it's all working out for him.
All right, so you mentioned you were a head coach at a junior college. Which junior college was that?
I was at Lincoln Trail Community College for a year, and I was assistant at Columbia right out of college.
Okay.
And Malo.
Where are you originally from?
Iowa.
Iowa, coach. We're trying. Everybody at home is trying to place that that dialect you have there.
Yep.
I mean, it's not hard to place me. Everybody knows where I'm from. All right, so let's talk about your coaching staffs real quick. Trey Weiss and Chad Biles. What about those two guys?
Trey has been with me 4 years now, so second year, and he's been unbelievable. Anytime I need something, I can go to Trey, and he's working on his doctorate, and he's working on becoming a principal. So he's got a lot of fires going on right now, but he's done an outstanding job. Hasn't interfered in anything. I turned a lot of stuff over to him. The catchers, Beau Escobar is one of the better catchers in the league, and Trey Weiss has a lot to do with that. Carson Carroll, who just is at Tennessee Tech right now, he helped him out a lot behind the plate. He does a lot of the hitting. He just does everything. And Coach Biles, he coaches my JV team, but he is very instrumental, handles the outfielders on a daily basis, and he does a very good job as well.
All right, so let's get into your personnel. Talk about your players that you have. 11 seniors, 8 juniors, 4 sophomores on the varsity with 2 freshmen. But right now, currently, Robert Hassel, hottest name since Will Dalton to come through District 11 AAA right now. You think back, he was the Wilco recipient Player of the Year last year as a freshman. He's up for it again this year as a sophomore. He could potentially be our 4-year Wilco winner, which would be pretty neat.
Well, that would be nice because it means we're probably winning a lot of games.
And you're also up for Coach of the Year, by the way, and Independence is up for Team of the Year. Well, congratulations on that.
Well, thank you. The Team of the Year is the big one. We got a good bunch of guys, and Robert, talent-wise, is as good as I've been around. And I've been around some good ones in Bryce Prince and DeJuan Brazelton at middle, and they were first-rounders. You know, who knows? There's a lot can happen between now and his senior year, but he is as talented as anybody I've been around. He hits with power, can run, can throw.
He's committed to Vandy. What are they more looking at right now? Are they looking at his fielding and his hitting, or are they looking at his pitching? How is it?
From my understanding, they're going into it as he can do both.
Really?
Yes.
Is that not rare?
Maybe in the SEC, not so much.
Okay.
In the college ball, you get a lot of two-way guys. Bryce Prince, who was a sandwich pick at Middle Tennessee a few years ago, drafted in between that first and second round. He was drafted as a pitcher out of high school. We told him you can hit, so we let him hit, and he wound up being a sandwich pick with the Red Sox as a hitter. But he played both for us.
You know, at the elite level, with the emergence of the pitcher hitter for the Angels,
Yeah.
the name escapes me right now.
Yeah, if that works out, there's going to be a lot more guys doing it.
Yeah, that
you know,
guy.
he's Rick Ankiel. You know, he started
the
off
Cardinals.
as a pitcher
Yep.
and then had some issues on the mound and wound up being an everyday outfielder. So it's happened before, just maybe not at the same time. But it's going to be interesting to see with the Angels or the gentleman there if later on when they start to figure him out if doing both's good for him. We'll find out.
He started off hot. Now, Hassel, what's his strongest points for you? You think right now, if I'm a collegiate coach, I'm at Vandy, I'm on Vandy staff. The thing that sticks out to me most about Robert Hassel is what?
Robert is a hitter. He was a hitter as a kid. He was a hitter as a baby. He's going to be a hitter.
You know, the funny thing, I asked that coach that question to a lot of the coaches. Like, what separates him? Why is he so much better? And they said, all you got to do is listen to the ball come off the bat.
Yeah.
Just listen, and it comes off differently.
It's a different sound in the cage. It's a different sound on the field, and it was pretty evident last year. You know, we started off with our scrimmages and saw Robert in the cage and did some live stuff inside, and you can tell the ball came off better. But he hit a base hit. It was a base hit right over shortstop head, and I was actually standing out there, and that ball passed me so fast that. You know, in college, you always got to keep your head on a swivel, especially guys like Bryce Prince up, and it just reminded me of that.
Well, Caleb Reed is another player for you right now. He's looking at going to Freed Hardman. What position does he play?
He's a third baseman. He started out as a second baseman, played probably 98% of the games. He started as a freshman on varsity. When we moved him to third, it just seemed a little bit more natural for him a couple years ago. He having a great year. I don't know exactly what his average is, but it's in the high threes. Cut down on his strikeouts from last year, and he's got a lot more RBIs already. So he has upped his game defensively at third base. You know, he's as good in District 11A, 3A as you can get.
Dylan Saunders, Lindsey Wilson, he's your center fielder.
Dylan, as far as defensively, is one of the better outfielders in the district. Can run. Struggling a little bit at the plate this year. And one thing about high school baseball is you get off to that bad start, you got 8 weeks. It's a short amount of time to get rolling again. And he's starting to show signs of coming out of it. You know, he's got some power. I think he's got 3 home runs this year in our park. That's pretty good because it's definitely a pitcher's ballpark. You know, his average ain't where he would like it. But he's starting to get on base more, and if we can get him going, it'll be scary in that tournament.
Sean Walworth, Trevecca, he's your second baseman. I mean, you've got right now. You look at what you've got. Your infield. You got Sam Molnar, shortstop right now. He's an underclassman. He's a junior. You've got third base Caleb Reed, Freed Hardman. Second base Sean Walworth. He's going to Trevecca. Your catcher Beau Escobar, who you spoke of, going JUCO Walter State. I mean, your infield, man.
We're really good up the middle, and that's in baseball. That's where you want to be really good. Sean came in from South Carolina as a sophomore year, played first base, and then I wasted him that year at first base. I don't know what I was thinking. Had Caleb at second, and I knew Sean had a good
Why
glove.
do you say that?
Well,
I know what you mean. Explain to the people. The first baseman is usually, you don't want your best athlete sitting on first, right?
Because he's a good middle infielder.
There you go.
He's got good hands, great hands, and he saved us a bunch of errors that first year at first base. But he was my best option over there, and I needed him over there. And you ask my players, 2 people can't drop the ball, and one's a catcher and one's a first baseman.
That's right.
But Sean has done an outstanding job at second base. He's the captain of the team. If we don't appoint captains, but he's the guy that makes things go for us.
Beau Escobar, hot right now,
Yes.
man. He is a great player for you, a catcher. You spoke of him earlier, about how he worked with Trey, but talk about Beau right now. Walter State, is this one of these things that could be a springboard for Beau potentially?
Yeah, I think he can move on. He can move on to a 4-year school, definitely. Beau has worked hard on and off the field. He has done an outstanding job. I guess the best thing you can say, he's in charge of a pitching staff with like a 1.5 ERA. So that's pretty good. And Beau's took ownership of that pitching staff. He's took charge.
How about that?
What we do a little bit different at Independence that most schools probably don't, we don't call a lot of pitches. Beau does a very, very good job of calling pitches, and I've let him. He knows more, but he's catching it. I'm not catching it. I'm in the dugout. Coaches, I learned long ago, they call way too many breaking balls. They call it a swing and miss. And Beau does an outstanding job of calling games, and Walter State's really getting a good one because he knows how to do that stuff.
So that's interesting. Let's talk about that for a moment. And this may sound completely ignorant. Can the catcher be almost comparable to the point guard on the basketball?
Oh, definitely. He's the quarterback. He's, Coach Pete is an old catcher at Middle Tennessee, and a guy well-respected, Division I coach for many, many years, retired now. But, and I, as part of my jobs as a pitching coach, one year I had to be the catching coach, daily catching coach. Coach Pete was the catching coach, but I had to run through the drills with them, and we had Michael McHenry, who just retired from the big leagues at that time, and I learned the ins and outs of catching and how important little things was, handling pitching staff, calling pitches, calling picks, controlling the running game, and that's what we tried to teach Beau.
So you're pretty much giving Beau full reign on.
Oh, definitely.
All right, you're calling the pitches. He knows how. He's obviously knowing how to set up and craft this at bat with these particular people. He's watching the picks to know when to call the picks. He's watching all this stuff.
Definitely.
And you don't have to coach him up on that. I mean, that's invaluable.
It definitely is. And the same thing with our JV catchers. We let them call the game. And there's a lot of talking going on. There's a lot of, why do we do this? Well, why not this? And give and take. It's won us more games than it's lost us. I promise you that. Than the coaches calling the game.
How many people do you think do that in the high school level? I bet that's very low.
In college, it used to be quite a bit in college. I know DJ at Vanderbilt, DJ Johnson, when he was the pitching coach at Vanderbilt, started out calling, and then towards the end, he stopped calling the games. For the
When
most
you're saying
part,
calling games, that's calling every pitch,
yeah,
every signal,
yeah.
every pitch. He lets those guys do it. I'm assuming that if he looks and defers to the coach, then they'll give him a signal.
Yeah. I mean, Beau's always got the option to look at me, and I'm going to have something ready for him.
Right.
But a lot of times I might call a pitch just to make sure we're on the same page. But I'd say during the game, if you throw 100 pitches, I might call 2. And Beau, was you going to call that? Yeah, I was going to call it. So we work well together.
So if I'm on the mound, I'm throwing, and I'm struggling, obviously a little bit mentally. Beau calls a timeout. You let him go, or you meet him?
No, I'll let Beau go talk to him. I like for it to happen that way first. Let's see if Beau can get him on track. And usually this year he's done a great job of it. As a catcher, you got to be a coach. You got to be a chewer. You got to be a butt patter. You got to you got to be able to do it all. Yes.
You got to.
So I think Walters is getting a guy that is gonna know how to handle himself and a team.
Well, 21 wins. You went 16 straight wins, and then everybody pushed the panic button on you, right? Because you lost 2 out of 3 in the middle there. One to Dixon, 8-7. Then lost one of the series games to Summit, 6-5. Got back on track. You've won several in a row here, 4 or 5 games in a row. Weather's been throwing things off. Now we're coming down the stretch. Let's talk about these games coming up, man. You've got some huge matchups coming up. For those that don't know, District 11 AAA, pardon me, we gained some teams. We went from a 7-team district to a 9-team district. Who did we pick up? You pick up the defending AA state champions in Spring Hill, who right now are sitting in the middle of the pack. People thought, well, they're going to come up to AAA and they won't be very effective. I would have to disagree with that. They're probably not sitting in the place they want to be, but they're still every day a very dangerous team.
Paul Lamb does a good job. They play with a lot of emotion, a lot of energy. So it doesn't surprise me that he's come in and had some success. Page is the one I did not know much about because we didn't play them, even though we were pretty close. But I've been really impressed with their program. They got some good arms. They everybody in this league's got arms that can beat you, but they got some guys that'll move on. I heard about the lefty that went the middle, but I never did see him pitch. And they got a couple other good ones that are, I don't know what grade they're in. I'm hoping they're seniors.
I had 2 signed with Martin Methodist.
Yes.
Speaking of, so. But you go down through this list and you look. All right, so we've got Independence 11-2, Brentwood 11-2, Ravenwood 8-5, Summit 8-5, Page 5-8, Spring Hill 5-8, Dixon 5-9, Centennial 4-9, Franklin 3-12. You go all the way down to the last place team. I talked to Coach Whipple last week. He said, look, he said, my record obviously is not where I want to be, but he said, I feel like in any given game we can step in and beat anybody, and I think everybody feels the same way about him. Definitely,
and that tournament, it's going to be a fun tournament. It'll be worth the price of admission because every game is going to be tough, and we're playing Franklin, and we got a lead on them, and I'm over there biting my nails, just
trying to get out of it.
Just trying to get the win over with, trying to get it done because I know they can come back and they swing the bats well. So, like I said, every team can beat everybody, and this week's going to be fun. That's why I told my guys just to have fun, and we're going to play Brentwood head-to-head, see who wins, and go from there.
So the given is right now that we know for a fact, Franklin is going to finish 9th. We know that. He knows that. He knows that. He's getting his team mentally prepared for that play-in game. The play-in game is right now, if it was played today, it would be against Centennial if things hold up, and that's a big if.
Yep.
So you're looking at a battle of Franklin to even get in the tournament, and then the winner of that would get either the winner of the Brentwood Indy Series if it holds true. So let's try to attempt to run down this scenario. So battle of Franklin right there, but Centennial. If Centennial could beat Brentwood on Sunday, this upcoming Sunday, that would put them at 5-9. Then you're looking at a tiebreaker between Dixon and them, and I think Dixon would probably hold the tiebreaker on them. So it looks like Centennial and Franklin are set. But here's what's not set. Independence, Brentwood. You've got this series starting this week, 2-game series with them to decide it all. And then, when I say decide it all, to decide who's going to have the potential to go to first. And then you've got Ravenwood Sunday, and Brentwood's got Centennial. So if you split and then you play Sunday, if one of you loses Sunday, there's going to be some
feelings hurt.
It's going to be some feelings hurt.
Yes.
So let's just play hypotheticals for a moment. You split, you both win on Sunday. Tiebreaker is what?
Well, the tiebreaker is
everybody's rooting for this.
Everybody will be rooting for it. The tiebreaker is that bid. The automatic bid goes into the tournament.
Man.
So.
That's pretty awesome.
Top 2 teams out of the tournament.
Matter of fact, I love that. I don't want it to come down to a head-to-head, overall scores, overall records. It pretty much comes down to, hey, let's go win it in a tournament. That's the way it should be, right?
Yep, and the coaches, credit the coaches from every school, and they just want what's best for the league, and that's the way that we've approached every meeting.
We've talked about this, in basketball. You got to protect those guys that run the gauntlet all year long and do what was necessary. Let's just go back a year. Coach Bill Moore, Brentwood, they win the outright district, and then they get beat in the first round of the district tournament. That just goes to show you how tough our district is. If this rule was not in place, they wouldn't have won the AAA state championship.
Yep, that's a good possibility.
So my thought is, do you like or dislike the protection of that number 1 seed, whoever wins the tournament, the regular season going into the tournament as the number 1 seed, getting that protection of automatic bid to region? Do you like it or dislike it?
I loved it with the 3-game series. With the 3-game series, the chances of tying was very slim because there's always a tiebreaker head-to-head. So I loved it then. The 2-game series, it's a little bit different because you can't have a split and then you guys are tied. But we didn't go into the runs. We didn't go into who beat who. We went right into saying, okay, if it is a tie, even records, bid goes into the tournament, and we'll just see player from there. So I think we're doing it the only way we can do it.
So let's look at it again. So if Ravenwood, if y'all split, if Brentwood splits with you, they win 1 game, you win 1 game. If Brentwood sweeps, they're going to win it if they win barring on Sunday, correct?
Yep. Same with us. If we sweep them, we'll win it. if we win on Sunday as well.
And the thing about it is, you think about it, as soon as you get through the Brentwood series, you feel, wow, that's a load off. You've got Ravenwood sitting right there waiting. Now, I don't think.
Actually, I think if whoever sweeps
wins
is
it regardless,
yes,
right?
Yeah, Sunday becomes a moot point.
And the importance of this is, if you win it, you get that automatic bid to region, regardless of what happens in the tournament, and then everybody else is playing for that second bid. And we all feel pretty comfortable. Now, we have to, I'm going to be Coach Cliche here and Coach Speak. Yeah, we got to go play that game when we get in region, but it's pretty good. Vegas would be on our side once the two teams get into region play. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Because we match up with Metro.
Yeah.
Overton's always a pretty good team. There's some other good teams there.
However, after that this year, you're in the race, you pay a little bit more attention to what's going on. Mount Juliet has two unbelievable arms.
That would be in the sectionals.
Yes.
That's where we would match up.
Hendersonville has as I know they have a couple good arms as well, but we're talking high draft picked arms from Mount Juliet. Clarksville High School. Always tough. Coach Hetland does a great job up there. So
he was at Austin P when I was there, by the way.
Yep.
Coach Hetland's a great guy.
I played against Coach Hetland when I was at Middle at Austin. He recruited me at Austin P. So it's not a layup by any means to get there because you got some really tough teams.
Well, it's been a great year. It's been fun to watch. I can't wait to see how this Brentwood series plays out. I know you're ready to get it over.
I just want to get it in.
If the weather holds out, get this thing over.
We're talking about rain again tomorrow, and we were close yesterday. But
region tournament will begin on May 14th, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm fully expecting not to see you nor your team at the Wilco's, and that's a good problem to have.
That would be nice.
That's a good problem to have. Looking at that, this event has grown to be a monster, and I hope, being the first time you being up for Coach of the Year and the team, I hope it means something to him. I know Robert was there last year. I know you came and watched Robert, and Robert won it. And I think he'll be able to tell you too, as a younger kid on the staff, that it's a pretty neat event.
Last year I didn't know what to expect when I went, and I'm not a Tux guy at all, but my wife enjoyed seeing me in it, and we went up there, met Vince Neal right off the shoot.
How about that, man?
So, it had me. It's one of the best things I've been involved with. It is unbelievable.
Well, that's good.
The Blue Raiders has their Raider Awards. They do something like that towards the end when I was coaching there, and they did a good job. But this is, I don't know if you've never been anything like this. It's a ticket to get.
Well, I appreciate that, and it's all for the kids, man. I think they enjoy it.
They look great, and it's a great time.
Well, Coach McLaury, you are officially off the hot seat, my friend.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on a great season thus far. Best of luck. Coach Mike McLaury, Independence head coach. Thank you for joining us for this week's Coaches Show. We'll see you next time.
If I say heads up, what does that mean to you? It means be aware, be alert. Be prepared to prevent something bad from happening, like a concussion. Most concussions are preventable if you make the effort. Wear a helmet when you bike, wear a seatbelt when you're in the car, and always be aware and be safe. To learn more, go to cdc.gov/concussion. You want to prevent a concussion? It's time to be heads up.
Out of the Wild by David Harris. Sound ricochets through the valley, across the river, bank to bank. From the porch you hear the wails that sound at first like sirens. The dog rises, nervous, and sniffs and stays close. He knows his cousin's call. Just beyond Manhattan's nighttime glow, coyotes haunt these hills. In the morning, you grab the train for Grand Central while wildness sleeps in your backyard.